I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to the Berks County Commissioners Board meeting for January the 28th of 2021. We're broadcasting live on BCTV, on Microsoft Teams live event, on YouTube and Facebook Live. At this time, I'll recognize my Executive Assistant, Mary Buer.
Thank you. Public comment will be accepted through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, your last name, and your municipality. Any comments without a name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams Q&A, Facebook, and YouTube. The meeting comment period is limited to 30 minutes in total. Please be concise. Comments will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Mary. As always, we will begin our meeting today with a moment of silence, followed by a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We're going to begin this morning, as we do each week, with the Berks County COVID-19 data report. I want to note that today, Brian Gottschall is not available, but he has provided me with the report. I'm bringing that up. Can everyone see the slide? Somebody can tell me, do you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I was waiting for. I wanted to make sure because all I see is the slide right now. So first of all, we want to look at the early warning dashboard. This came out last Friday, so it's just about a week old. But for 2 weeks in a row, we've seen some significant improvement. Newly confirmed cases are down by several hundred. Incident rate per 100,000 down by almost 100. The positivity testing rate, and this includes retesting, so it's artificially low, but that came down. Hospitalizations, which are very important, are down. We'll talk about that in another slide in a moment. Patients on ventilators are down slightly, and ER visits are also down. When we look at cases and testing, smooth. The top line, the orange line, is the testing, and we peaked in our testing back in December, late December. It went up again a little bit in January, but the main thing to look at is that over the last couple of weeks, the case count has taken a significant downward turn. That is a good thing to see. When we look at the positivity rate, and this is the pure positivity rate for Berks County, that means there's no retesting. The retesting we've talked about that goes on in facilities that are congregate care, like a nursing home. And that rate now is right around 36% in the pure positivity rate, but down well below its peak of around 53% earlier. However, when we look at the issue of confirmed COVID deaths in Berks County, we're now closing in on 780 plus deaths in the county. Unfortunately, over the last number of weeks, basically, we saw a trend start to kick up in early December, and that curve has gotten rather steep. If you look at the bottom line shows the daily death count, and the top line, the green line, shows the cumulative death count, and that continues, as it should be, to be a serious concern. Here's the hospital data. If you look at the last week, what we saw, 368 suspected cases in hospital. That has dropped down to 337. ICU, 35 to 32. Vents, 27 to 26. Yesterday, on our Commissioner's Weekly Update, we had representatives of both Tower Health Reading Hospital, Penn State St. Joe's. Both of them commented that they are glad to see the hospitalizations come down over the last 8 to 10 days in particular. I believe it was Dr. Powell noted that for the first time in a while, they've actually had some days where they were just under 100% capacity versus 100, I think she used the term 110% in just days prior to that. When you look at Berks County compared to other counties, keeping in mind that we're 9th overall in population, total tests, we remain pretty much where we've been. The middle area, ordered cases per capita, we've been consistently in that spot. We have climbed up 3 spaces in deaths per capita. And again, based on the information we showed earlier, and I'm going to show here in the last slide, that is a remaining concern. This last slide I'm showing you is called case and death lag. The blue line shows the overall case count. And again, as we looked at that earlier, that case count has gone down. The death count is really up there. The month of January had the highest number, and we're not through it yet, but the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 deaths since the beginning of the pandemic here in Berks County. That's March, that would be March of 2020, January of 2021 is the worst that we've had. That's what I have. Before I go to Commissioner Barnhart, I would ask for any questions, but I don't know that I will have the answers to the questions because I'm not Brian Gottschall. But any comments or questions on the slides I just shared? Hearing none, I'm going to turn to Commissioner Kevin Barnhart to give us an update on the contact tracing.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. So reporting out from Cook County Wellness, our provider of contact tracing under contract with the county. They have 24 tracers on duty at any given time, which also includes volunteers. Total since the inception, which was about June 6th, our refusal rate of people who refuse to go into contact tracing protocol is only 23%, which I believe is outstanding. Data for the last week, January 20th to the 27th, 610 new contacts with a success rate of 73.8. Total for the entire period, over 7,230 contacts have been reached in total through Cook County Wellness. So again, my hat's off and commend Cook County Wellness and Carolyn Basic for their great work on behalf of the residents of Berks County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any additions or corrections for the January 14th Commissioner meeting minutes, January 19th operation meeting minutes, and the January 26th operation meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as presented. We did have one executive session since our last Commissioners meeting, and that was on January 27th, dealing with personnel. Mary, are there any public comments on specific agenda items?
I don't believe there are.
Thank you. We'll move into the agenda. Item 1, authorizing. Under that, Budget Department, adopt a resolution ratifying, confirming, and approving 2020 budget transfers in the amount of $1,959,883, 2020 appropriations in the amount of $13,721,005, 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $91,798, and 2021 appropriations in the negative amount of $719 per listing dated January the 18th of 2021, and further authorizes 2020 appropriations in the amount of $12,750,913 and 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $776,358 and 2021 appropriations in the amount of $6,952,775 per listing dated January the 25th. And that, just so everyone may wonder, that covered appropriations and budget moves over the last 2 weeks since we didn't have a commissioners meeting last Thursday. Human resources, there are several items. Item 1, authorize the appointment of Mitchell Salvatore, accounting assistant in the controller's office. Item 2, authorize the promotion of Guy Lehman from deputy sheriff to captain, sheriff's department. Item 3, authorize the promotion of Andrew Scott from assistant public defender 1 to assistant public defender 2 in the public defender's office. Item 4, authorize a salary adjustment for Dolores Johnson, fiscal technician supervisor in Children and Youth Services. Item 5, authorize a salary adjustment for Megan Knoll, fiscal officer, Workforce Development Board. And then item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the project request form for Benefit Express, excuse me, to generate and mail the 1095C forms and the e-file forms for 1094 and 1095s to the IRS on behalf of the County of Berks. Fees are $3.59 for each form to be printed and mailed. An additional fee of $3 per form is paid for the IRS e-file. We have one item listed under the treasurer. Adopt a resolution of the Berks County Board of Commissioners approving the updated and revised investment policy statement of the County of Berks General Operating Funds dated January 22nd of 2021, amending the policy to permit investments pursuant to PA Act 10 of 2016. Excuse me there. Commissioner Rivera, one item, adopt a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Jeffrey Alman, West Lawn, Pennsylvania, to the Council on Chemical Abuse Board of Directors for a 3-year term expiring February 1st of 2024. I have one item listed under myself, adopt a resolution authorizing the appointment of Pastor Tony Perez, Reading, PA, to the Reading Area Community College Board of Trustees to fill the remainder of a 6-year term, which will expire on June 30th of 2023. There are several items listed under the commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the certification of county funds for 2021 program year to the State Bureau of Farmland Preservation for the appropriation of county matching funds in the amount of $1,068,664 for the purchase of agricultural conservation easements. Item B, adopt a resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving the Next Generation Farmer Loan Program to provide financing in the total amount of $552,000 for Kevin M. and Rosalie J. Lauver for property located in Robeson Township, Berks County. It further authorizes the chair to execute the approval of applicable elected representative form and letter of the approval to Kevin M. and Rosalie J. Lauver. The Next Generation Farmer Loan Program provides financing to eligible next generation farmers to purchase land and other capital-intensive assets to begin their agricultural enterprise through, and this is important because some people may wonder, I didn't know the county did this, through the Berks County Industrial Development Authority and the Greater Berks Development and the Central and Western Chester County Industrial Development Authority. The approval by Berks County shall not in any way pledge or obligate the credit or taxing power of the County of Berks, nor shall the County of Berks be liable for the payment of the principal or interest on any obligation issued by the Central and Western Chester County Industrial Development Authority. Even though Chester County is involved, noting this is benefiting Berks County farming couple in Robeson Township. Item C, adopt a resolution ratifying, confirming, and approving Christine Sadler, Berks County Solicitor, execution of the waiver of conflict letter for Stevens and Lee to represent the Reading Hospital in applications for the exemption of real estate filed with the Berks County Board of Assessment Appeals and the potential appeals, therefore, to the Berks County Court of Common Pleas. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the letter of authorization for Windstream Holdings doing business as Windstream Communications and doing business as Windstream to allow the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency and Mission Critical Partners or selected NG 911, Next Generation 911 vendor agent to facilitate the transition to Next Gen 911 services by identifying existing Berks County legacy 911 services, costs, automatic location identification records, and managing associated termination of legacy 911 communication services with county approvals. Item E, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute a letter of authorization for Frontier Communications to allow Pennsylvania Emergency Management and Mission Critical Partners or selected Next Generation 911 vendor agent to facilitate the transition to Next Generation 911 services by identifying existing Berks County legacy 911 services costs, automatic location identification records, and managing associated termination. That seems to me to be, and I just realized this, a duplicate. Am I correct, Mary Jo?
It's a different vendor.
What did I miss here? Okay, got it. Frontier. I'm glad, for some reason I missed that. So it is a different vendor. Thank you, Mary Jo. You're keeping me on the straight and narrow. Item F, adopt a resolution authorizing the Board of Commissioners to execute a letter urging the Department of Human Services to reconsider the development of a new statewide child welfare case management system that will include Berks County Children and Youth Agency and to keep the current child welfare information solution system functioning. I'm going to pause there a minute. My colleagues may want to weigh in, but what this is over the last 10 years roughly, Berks County and a number of other counties, especially here in southeastern PA, were funded through the state to put up an effective case management system. Berks County has done that. We partnered with a local firm, Weidenhammer, to help us put that together. This is a multi-million-dollar project. And last year, out of the blue, the states decided they want to scrap it and they want to build a brand new system, a statewide system. This has been tried before. It failed miserably in the past, not just in human services, but in other statewide efforts. Berks County, along with a number of other counties, have been pushing back and saying this is a waste of taxpayers' money, even though it may be state money. We think it is not justified. That is what this letter is about. All three commissioners are signing on to this letter to the child, about the child welfare case management system to the Department of Human Services. I don't know if either of my colleagues want to weigh in.
Well said.
And thank you. Item G, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the certification of county maintenance of effort for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of State for eligibility to receive grants from the Commonwealth's HAVA funds. Item 2, a motion authorizing execution of contract agreements and amendments as furnished by the contract coordinator as set forth on the attached listing dated January 26th of 2021. There are 26 contracts, 1 with the Berksheim, 5 with Children and Youth Services, 1 with the Commissioner's Office, 1 with both Domestic Relations and the Berks County Jail, 2 with Facilities, 4 with Information Systems, 1 with the Berks County Jail, 6 with Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities, 1 with Parks and Recreation, 1 with the Public Defender's Office, and 3 with the Area Agency on Aging. And item 3, a motion to ratify and confirm payments as set forth on the Controller's Office voucher listing dated January the 19th of 2021 and January 26th of 2021, and the payment of electronic transfers and employee payroll.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second that.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. We'll now move to reports of our treasurer and controller, and we'll begin with Dennis Adams, our county treasurer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have an opening balance today of $176,555,947.37. Balance to clear of $3,368,186.19, leaving us with a balance of $173,197,761.18.
Thank you very much, Dennis. We'll move now to our county controller, Sandy Graffius, with the controller's report.
Okay, we'll start with the 21st, because we have 2 reports this week. 21st of January, we had a total accounts payable of $6,191,935.55. We had a payroll $4,527,238.01 for a grand total for the 21st of $10,719,173.56. Now then, on the 28th, we had a total accounts payable of $7,892,067.96.
Thank you very much, Sandy. We will now move to our Chief Administrative Officer, Ron Seaman.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no report at this time.
Thank you, Ron. And that quickly, we are to commissioners' comments, and I'll recognize our Vice Chair, Commissioner Kevin Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and again, everyone who has joined us today. I have 2 criminal justice items to bring up. We received our annual report from the jail system for the 2020 video conference report. And not surprisingly, January and February video conferences were in the 200 range, 229 and 223. We finished up the year in excess. September was 869, October 855, November 758 and December 744. So video technology and video conferencing is really here to stay with the jail system. Obviously, it minimizes and eliminates in many cases the transportation of inmates back and forth, creating a myriad of issues. So it's best that they are contained within the jail structure for safety reasons as well as for COVID protocols. On a real good note, everyone I believe is aware of Blue Cares effort through the Council on Chemical Abuse and our law enforcement agencies to visit people in their domiciles who have recovered from an overdose. Law enforcement officer and a treatment counselor go to the house to encourage that person to enter into a treatment program. So now we're entering a next step, and I want to help promote this along with Council on Chemical Abuse and our district attorney. It is actually funded through the federal government. It is a pilot program from December through September of this year, which will divert people with stimulant or opioid misuse issues out of the criminal justice system if they're first-time offenders. They will go through classes and programming, and if they successfully complete that, their record will not continue forward. They will not be arrested. This is to try to, again, extract those people from the criminal justice system who otherwise would not have created that situation, who are under the use of stimulants and opioids. And the police departments will be undertaking training. The district attorney is utilizing this in several key areas. At this point, they're going to start with Muhlenberg, Spring, West Reading, Wyomissing, Cumru, and the city of Reading. So that covers a wide swath of area, very large number of population. So we're very encouraged by this Blue Cares Next Step program to, again, divert people away from the criminal justice system, out of the program, and into actual education and about misuse of opioids and stimulants. So again, a lot of good things go on here in Berks County that oftentimes go unnoticed, but when something like this comes forward, it's really incumbent upon me to bring it to the public's attention. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Barnhart. We'll go now to Commissioner Michael Rivera.
Yes, good morning, and thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and thank you, Commissioner Barnhart, for that important information that you just shared. I have a few things I want to share. One, the City of Reading is having their State of the City tomorrow at 3 p.m. You can watch it via their Facebook page. It will be live streamed. You cannot attend in person due to COVID restrictions, but if you are interested in seeing where the city is at and where it's going, please watch the State of the City by Mayor Moran tomorrow at 3 p.m. via the city's Facebook page. Also, on another note, and we're waiting for more information, there is a hospitality grant that will be coming available for primarily hotels and restaurants. This is being made available by the state, and it's for grants between $5,000 and $50,000. We don't have all the details yet. This is all being worked out. It was approved by the Senate and the House yesterday. It was finalized, so we're waiting for more information on that. I believe the money would be available sometime either in March or in April. But if you are a hotel or restaurant owner or know of someone, there could be money, well, there will be money available if you qualify for this next grant that's coming up, understanding that these two industries have gone through a great deal of financial stress due to COVID. One other thing, the county did hold the weekly update yesterday on our Facebook Live and also through YouTube and BCTV, and it was on vaccinations. We had representatives from the Berks Community Health Center, from Tower Health Reading Hospital, and from Penn State Health St. Joe's Medical Center, and they answered the questions that were posted by the press and by residents around vaccines. Why is it taking so long? Where can I get vaccinated? What's the process? Please go visit if you want to see that. Go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page, and you can see that. It was yesterday at 4 o'clock. It was an hour and 15 minutes of questions around vaccinations. Very, very good information. So please go there. And we also have on doyourpartberks.com, there is a part to keep our residents informed on what's happening with the COVID vaccination. So please visit doyourpartberks.com. There are links there for state resources, for the medical institutions as well. There's a lot of information that Stephanie Weaver has put together on there for our residents. So again, please visit doyourpartberks.com. Under resources, you'll see the information for vaccinations. Thank you very much, and that's all I have for today.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rivera. I have a couple of items that I want to touch on. First of all, I think a lot of people saw the op-ed piece today. I'm not going to read through it, but there's some things that I want to cover. I know that people are reacting differently. Some people think it's a great article. Some people don't like it at all. I've heard from some people that somehow think that this is promoting the idea that there was massive voter fraud. This isn't about the issue of voter fraud. This is about the issue of election integrity. And there is a big difference. I'm going to post right now in the public area for Microsoft Teams a link to the County Commissioners Association priority, #1 priority for 2021. I'm going to ask our IS department to post that same link on the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. The #1 initiative for the County Commissioners Association for 2021 is election reform. The County Commissioners Association is a nonpartisan organization. We have no political action committee. We don't endorse candidates at any level. We are about representing 67 counties. What I wrote in the op-ed is what many of us believe are the issues surrounding the 2020 election. And I want to touch on some of these key aspects so that there's a clear understanding of what is meant. First of all, I noted that the mail-in ballot created by Act 77 appears to be in opposition to the Constitution of Pennsylvania. Let me ask you a question and think about this. Why didn't the legislature simply change the rules on the absentee ballot to make the absentee ballot no excuse? Why? It's a very simple reason. Because to change the rules on the absentee ballot required an amendment to the Constitution of Pennsylvania. Folks, mail-in ballots, absentee is the term the Constitution uses for a ballot that is cast outside of the poll on election day. It can go through the mail. It can be dropped off sometime prior to election day at the election office. That has been part of the Pennsylvania Constitution for a very long time. In essence, what the legislature did in Act 77 and the governor supported by signing, in my opinion, and in the opinion of some constitutional lawyers, is circumvented the Constitution. The Constitution already provides for mail-in ballots, and the Constitution has very specific restrictions. In their haste to get mail-in ballots in place, one of the mistakes they made was bypassing the Constitution. What should have happened is they should have passed an amendment in the last session of the legislature. Under the Constitution amendment process, they would have had to pass the same amendment again in this current legislature, and then ultimately it would have gone to the voters to vote whether or not they want to change the Pennsylvania Constitution. In my opinion, and the opinion of many others, that would have provided for a broad vetting of this change, but that's not what happened. Not only was there not a constitutional amendment, county leaders were not part of putting this legislation together. This was jammed through, and as soon as it was through, the county leaders and county election departments said, wait a minute, what about this? What about this? And in an attempt to fix some of those issues, in April of 2020, the legislature passed some legislation to address some of that. And then literally throughout the summer and right up to Election Day, there were efforts with the legislature and the governor to make additional changes in the law. Add on top of that the issue of the Secretary of State sending out, at best, conflicting or confusing directives to county elections offices. One of those was a directive that counties could cure ballots prior to Election Day. 90% of the counties didn't agree with that and believed the law didn't allow that and chose not to do that. But that happened, and those types of directives from the Secretary of State were confusing. Then add on top of that the involvement of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, specifically taking on the changing of the rules relative to when a ballot, a mail-in ballot, could be counted, specifically those received after Election Day. Here's what I'm asking, and here's what CCAP is asking for. We're asking for clear, concise rules that every county follows. That didn't happen this last time. Some counties did things one way, other counties did things in another way. We need election integrity. Again, this isn't about whether or not there was massive voter fraud. We're simply highlighting what did happen and the confusion that occurred. My call is not about making it easier for Democrats or easier for Republicans or easier for independents. My call is for election reform that guarantees a voter that votes by mail, that votes in person, that their vote, if cast according to the rules, counts. Whenever we find ourselves in a country like America, a republic, a constitutional republic, and people lose faith in the electoral process, we are in a crisis. I will add one additional piece that is not the fault of the legislature, the governor, or the Supreme Court, and that is the U.S. Postal Service is broken. We never experienced as a county, and I've talked to counties across the Commonwealth with similar experiences, people not receiving their absentee ballots or mail-in ballots, the county not getting mail-in ballots back in a timely fashion. One of the most egregious examples of that here in Berks County, and I'm going to be wrong on the exact number, but roughly 470 ballots that were in the Harrisburg Post Office that were postmarked October 27th and October 28th somehow were kicked out of the automated process, set aside, and only brought to the attention of Berks County on Monday, November the 9th, which was too late for them to count. I know my colleagues received calls from people that were caught, whose votes were caught in that group. I talked to a mother whose daughter was in college voting for the very first time, and her vote didn't count because of the U.S. postal system. Those problems continue with the U.S. Postal Service. We have an obligation to make sure our voters can trust the system. If they play by the rules, they need to know what the rules are and know that the rules are being evenly and fairly applied across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Last week, I was on several calls with the County Commissioners Association where I spoke to this issue. That included the governor's office, that included Senator Jake Corman's office, that included Representative Carrie Benninghoff's office. I know there were other calls I wasn't able to be available for, and others in CCAP shared that same concern. And I wanted to share that with you today. That's all that I have. Commissioner Barnhart.
Yeah, I don't mean to step on you. If you don't mind my interjecting, I actually serve on the CCAP Election Reform Committee, and I want to echo Commissioner Leinbach's comments about being uniform across the Commonwealth. Everyone follows the same standards, the same rules. And in addition to that, our platform is really calling for a change and amendment to the registration deadline for new voters, as well as to give us some relief on pre-canvassing. As everyone's aware, we couldn't actually legally open those ballots until 7 a.m. on election day. We're looking for relief to move that back a few days into hopefully 5 days prior to the election, which then we won't have. Of course, our team did a heck of a job of counting those ballots on election day, but there are many, many other counties that lag behind several days till they get caught up with the mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are here to stay, as far as I know. So we were looking for some relief. We don't want to give the state legislature too many things to think about because they can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're hoping that they can look at the registration deadline as well as the pre-canvassing piece of this. They did send us a hot mess when it came to Act 77. I think the counties, by and large, really stood tall in implementing the rules as they believe they were supposed to be. Thank you.
One other thing I want to quick add, and then I'll go to you, Commissioner Rivera, that many people don't realize. Act 77 pretty much passed on party lines. Virtually all the Republicans voted for it. In other words, Republicans voted to bring in the mail-in ballots, and virtually all Democrats voted against it. That's true in both the House and the Senate. I'm not saying what that means, but there's folks out there that think somehow that the mail-in ballots are something the Democrats wanted and the Republicans tried to stop and they couldn't, and it's completely the opposite. Commissioner Rivera.
Yeah, I want to thank both you and Commissioner Barnhart for sharing this information. It's very important that people are aware of this. And one other thing, I just want to thank Katie from the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance. She corrected me on some information that I had shared. The bill for the money for the hospitality industry passed the Senate. It has not passed the House yet. They're expecting a vote on it sometime shortly. I mistakenly said that it had passed both the House and the Senate, but it has not. It only passed the House unanimously yesterday, and it has to go past the Senate unanimously yesterday, and it has to go to the House. So just wanted to make that correction, and thank you, Katie, for catching that and letting me know.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments from our row officers? Hearing none, we will move to public comment, and I will recognize my executive assistant, Mary Buer.
Thank you. The first comment is from Rebecca Ezolt from Kutztown. The simple and indisputable fact that the November presidential election was conducted in blatant disregard for the law and the Pennsylvania Constitution alone should make it a no-brainer for both sides of the aisle to investigate to the fullest extent. In addition, your constituents deserve answers. We fully expect that all of our elected officials will take those claims seriously. Not only do I support Commissioners Leinbach and Rivera in these efforts, I believe it is their civic duty to embark on this endeavor to regain some confidence in our election process. Thank you. Linda Bracadora from Bern Township. I want to thank Berks County and the other 37 counties that sent the January 19th letter to the GOP leadership in Harrisburg regarding the November 3rd election. There are some of us that have some concerns about the election. The letter refers to some of them. I think it's only prudent to review these, make changes if needed, and move on with confidence to the next election. I am particularly concerned with the difference in procedures from one county to the other. You could have a vote count in one county and in another county where rules and procedures are different may not count. At the very least, that is disheartening to know that could occur. The rules and voting process must be the same for all 67 counties. Thank you again. I look forward to the outcome, Linda. Fred Zentgraf, Sr. from Berkshire Heights. Greetings, commissioners. In every election, all parties should know the ground rules well ahead of time. Just like in financial systems, there must be standardized internal controls to rule out any possibility of illegal conduct. There can be no ambiguity. There can be no opportunity for counties to handle matters differently. There must be clearly defined rules and uniformity across the Commonwealth. To change the rules during the race and even up until the votes have already been counted is wrong and undermines the election process. That is what happened in the past election. That is why faith in the election system has been shaken for many. The above paragraph, copied from January 19, 2021 letter to the Honorable Jake Corman, President Pro Tempore, Pennsylvania Senate, and the Honorable Brian Cutler, Speaker of the House, Pennsylvania House of Representatives, from numerous county commissioners of Pennsylvania, including Berks County Commissioner Chairman Leinbach and Commissioner Rivera. I could not agree with you more, as well as entire contents of the letter, and appreciate the effort to address the travesty of the November 3rd, 2020 fraudulent election. Keep up the good fight for free and fair elections. Thank you. Liz Cates, Bern Township. The article in yesterday's Eagle regarding the pop-up vaccinations at Body Zone underscored the under-coordinated, slapdash, and ad hoc nature of the coronavirus vaccination program in Berks County. Will you all commit to forming a Berks Health Department to coordinate responses to this and future pandemics? Crystal Kowalski, why missing? Good morning, commissioners. This past Sunday's Reading Eagle had two important articles on the criminal justice system. There was an opinion piece on bail. It cited a 2019 study from the Vera Institute for Justice that found that 64% of people in local jails have not yet been convicted of a crime. The piece states how this practice is fiscally irresponsible because the cost of incarcerating one person for a year in Pennsylvania is about $45,000. As the piece states, cash bail is a threat to equal justice under the law. There are, of course, many threats to equal justice under the law. In the second article in Sunday's paper, Berks Chief Public Defender stated that less than 5% of their cases go to trial. That means that more than 95% of their cases are settled in other ways. The Public Defender's Office explained that these cases are resolved by either guilty pleas, sentences, ARD, treatment courts, or dismissal, but said they did not keep record on the percentage breakdown. A WHYY article from October 2018 found that Berks County public defenders struck plea deals in 87% of cases. These numbers are truly staggering, but the budget sheds some light. The public defender's budget is about 30% of the DA's budget. The public defender's office is grossly underfunded. Berks County is not alone in this uneven funding of prosecution and defense. New Orleans just passed a parity ordinance that would require the public defender's office be funded at least 85% of the DA's funding. They fell short achieving 65% of the DA's funding, but that is still a 30% increase over their current levels. Commissioners, please write and pass a parity ordinance and work to end cash bail. Thank you. Adrian Jadick from Why I'm Missing. Good morning, Commissioners. In support of instating a county health department, I would like to bring your attention some issues we face with trash haulers. Crews do not wear face masks. They do not bring the empty cans back to where they got them from, leaving the cans in the middle of the road and sometimes in front of neighboring properties or vehicles, requiring residents and visitors to touch someone else's trash can in order to drive, park, or enter a garage. Reporting to municipalities has little effect as these companies are richer and more influential. When trying to document their activity, residents risk getting beaten up. Such companies are a state within a state. Running a leaner county, as you like to say, may sound commendable, but comes with a price. Furthermore, there seems to be no transparency in the operation of these refuse recycling operators. They claim they recycle, but evidence points to the contrary. In Why I'm Missing, we see the recycling being crushed and compacted in a truck just like regular trash. There is no way for that compacted material to be sorted out and recycled. In Shillington, we see trash and recycling being mixed in the same trucks. What happens with trash in Berks will impact our health and the health of future generations. A health department could provide an independent way to audit these business practices and bring positive change. Municipalities are not equipped to deal with these issues. They can't even enforce mask wearing to stop the issues getting spread from one can to the next one. Thank you. Melvia Ahmed, Why I'm Missing. Good morning, Commissioners. During the election process, the Commissioners reassured us of the security of our election process. In today's editorial, Commissioner Leimbach has been critical of adjustments made to manage the incredible increase in mail-in ballots that resulted because of the pandemic. My question to Commissioner Leimbach: do you believe that election laws should be so constrictive that election boards cannot, do you believe that elections laws should be so constrictive that election laws cannot adjust to accommodate the best interests of the public during a public health crisis and political undermining of the United States Postal Service? Becky Ellis, Reading, PA. Good morning. I emailed the Berks County Commissioners last Thursday asking you to pass a resolution to establish a Berks County Health Department. Other than an email from Commissioner Rivera's office acknowledging receipt of the email, I have not received a response. The letter that I sent is as follows. Dear Commissioners, I am writing to ask you to pass a resolution to establish a Berks County Health Department. The process to create a county health department appears to be relatively straightforward, with annual costs of a county health department averaging approximately $2.6 million per year in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, including the funding received from Acts 315 and 12. With the total number of COVID-19 cases for Berks County at 29,433 and county COVID-19 related deaths numbering 723 as of today's date, $2.6 million is a small price to pay annually to provide the residents of Berks County an array of services that would greatly benefit our community by improving the health and longevity of our community. I've included county data below for Berks County and for those counties which already have a county health department in place. As you can see, our population warrants such having a county health department when compared to those counties in which one already exists. A local health department would provide county-specific data and community assistance in such areas included but not limited to communicable disease, surveillance and investigation, vector-borne disease, influenza, TD, HEP, and HIV, emergent infections, healthcare-associated infections, enteric infections, vaccine-preventable disease, rabies, non-communicable disease, environmental health, childhood and adult-led, maternal and child care issues, chronic disease burdens and disparities, immunization clinics, public health educational presentations. I thank each of you for your consideration in this matter, and I await your response. Becky Ellis. David Del Negro, West Reading. Commissioners Leinbach and Rivera, I ask that you moderate your stance regarding Act 77. While I agree that the PA Supreme Court acted with judicial activism, artificially altering election law and allowing different counties to follow different procedures, and that the bill clearly needs improvement. However, calling Act 77 unconstitutional when it was a Republican-created bill speaks of sour grapes, and in this atmosphere gives the appearance of election denialism that is uncharacteristic of the professionalism I have come to expect from the crew. Be well. Jane Palmer, why missing? Commissioner Leinbach, I am appalled by your deceitful and dangerous op-ed in today's Reading Eagle, which is riddled with the same misinformation about mail-in voting that the GOP and Trump loyalists use to overturn Pennsylvania's election results, arguments that were thrown out in multiple court cases. You and Commissioner Leinbach, Commissioner Rivera, have also signed on to a letter to the PA GOP that repeats the same lines and lies and insinuations of fraud. Yes, Berks County voters and all of the American people need to trust in our electoral system, and to a remarkable degree we can. While Pennsylvania's mail-in voting may need some improvements, the system has been used successfully for years, and you yourself have vocally supported it as recently as last April. But your political party, under the leadership of Donald Trump, cultivated the mistrust in the validity of the 2020 election that led directly to the violent insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th and continues to encourage it to this day for one clear purpose: to restrict access to voting. Your job is to represent the people of Berks County, so you should use your power to make sure all registered voters, including those who cannot risk COVID exposure, can cast their ballots with undue hurdles. You are public servants and should be ashamed of using your platform to promote the interests of your political party. Ben Grande from Exeter. The presidential election was a very blatant disregard for the Constitution. This cannot continue. People need answers and voting must be transparent. I support Leinbach and Rivera in these efforts. You're a concerned citizen. Jess Royer from Spring Township. Good morning, Commissioners. Regarding Commissioners Leinbach and Rivera signing on to a letter regarding the potential for compromised election integrity as under our current electoral system. As a board, you often talk about bipartisanship and how well you work together. That being said, the drive to repeal and re-legislate the vote-in-mail process that was passed by a GOP legislature is now led by the GOP after the system was used by more Pennsylvania Democrats than Republicans. Nationally, we've seen attacks on the U.S. Postal Service in order to suppress mail-in voting by the previous presidential administration. Voting by mail is a step towards enabling as many people to vote as possible, and the effort to prevent people from using this mechanism is overwhelmingly Republican, even after Pennsylvania's vote by mail process was put in place by the Republican Party. As many times as we've heard, the commissioners point to other levels of government as the responsible entities for various issues. It's hypocritical to suddenly sign on to this unfounded, misguided, disinformational, and partisan effort. Thank you. Louise Grimm, why I'm missing. Good morning, commissioners. Please seriously consider establishing a health department. It is greatly needed. We have been asking for this since 2009. Preparing for a future pandemic is crucial, and we need a health department. Kelly Weston, Sinking Spring, election integrity in Berks. Thank you. Thank you. You continuing in those efforts. Thank you. And that concludes the comments.
We will close comments at this time. I'm going to highlight this again. We need, if you want to make a comment, and there were several comments here that either there was no name or municipality, or there was a name and no municipality. That's something that is required. We want to know if you're from Berks County. By law, we are only required to allow people from Berks County to present. Historically, we've allowed people outside of the county in the past, but if we saw that we had a ton of comments, we would save those outside of Berks County for last. So if you posted a question and you didn't, or comment, you didn't hear it, it's because you didn't have either your name, or you had your name and didn't have your municipality. I'm going to just quickly follow up a couple of things. First of all, on the letter, I stand behind every aspect of that letter. That letter was well thought out. I was involved in it along with our leadership. And let me explain something. We, as GOP county leaders, took this effort because we recognize the problems with Act 77 were not created by the Democratic leadership. They were created by the Republican leadership not working with counties. If you look at that letter, there's nowhere in the letter it calls for the repeal of mail-in ballots. Now, that is probably going to be considered, but that is not realistic to happen with a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature. Our focus is on election integrity, and our reason for challenging the Republican leadership is that's where the power is today. Republicans still control the House, they still control the Senate. If we can't get them to agree as county leaders and CCAP, so get away from this idea that what we've signed on to is some partisan effort that is about voter suppression. That's bogus. And most people that read the letter understand it isn't about that at all. It's about consistency. It's not about voter suppression. Let me tell you what will suppress voters. A young woman who's voting for the very first time and her vote doesn't count because it didn't arrive on time and she didn't make any mistakes. What will suppress votes is people not being able to trust the system. That's all we're focusing on. Commissioner Barnhart aptly noted that even with CCAP, they're focusing on things like pre-canvassing, rules around mail-in ballots, drop boxes. We need clarity on drop boxes. There are virtually no rules. Let me give you another example, and I'm proud of what Berks County did. Commissioner Barnhart has chaired our election board since 2008, and we went out of our way in 2020 to do everything we could to protect the integrity of the vote, and that included, when it came to counting mail-in ballots, hiring Berks Community Television to follow the ballots every step of the way. We have the video of the ballots leaving the elections department under Deputy Sheriff security in a vehicle to the DoubleTree, out of the vehicle to the rooms. The observers that were there, and there were observers from both parties and multiple candidates, saw the various camera people showing every step of the process. Why did we do that? We spent $100,000. We did that because we wanted to be able to document everything that took place with those mail-in ballots. We actually thought in the legislation that was being considered up till the 12th hour that that would ultimately be required. It wasn't. On drop boxes, there was no real direction put out on how the drop boxes are secured. It's one thing to secure a drop box to a floor, but one of the things that we did in addition to that was we had a deputy sheriff by each drop box. And when the drop box was closed, we locked the slot. So no one walking by at night, somebody working in facilities could drop a ballot in. This is about an election integrity and election security. And folks that don't want that kind of a focus, I don't know what you're afraid of, because this is only about doing the right thing. The pop-up comment, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the weekly update, but this is a problem happening across the Commonwealth, and in some respects, it's almost more serious in some of the counties with the Department of Health. I can tell you right now that information we have that in Bucks County, that the hospitals pretty much have gone rogue is the word. They're doing their own thing, completely separate from their Department of Health. In the Lehigh Valley, St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley Hospital are in a public relations battle with each other on who can get the vaccine out, while the Departments of Health in Allentown, the city of Allentown has a Department of Health, and the city of Bethlehem are kind of the outside looking in. These pop-ups have occurred. We can't stop them. These are pop-ups that have applied for certification with the Pennsylvania Department of Health. They got approval. They did a pop-up. Hardly anyone we knew that was happening. And you look at the case of Philadelphia recently. Philadelphia, who has a Department of Health and is the only county working directly with the federal government in securing their vaccine. Every other county outside of nursing homes and long-term care facilities gets the vaccine from DOH, and it only goes to approved healthcare facilities in those counties. Philadelphia put together a deal with a 22-year-old Drexel University student to do a mass vaccination program. And either late last week or the beginning of this week, that thing fell apart. Philadelphia has separated the relationship. And the question is, why in the world were they doing something with a startup that initially was nonprofit, then turned to for-profit, when they have a Department of Health? A Department of Health doesn't guarantee that things are going to be better than a county that relies on the state for the Department of Health. And the last thing, and I did post a note on this, the comment regarding trash being, recyclables being mixed, That is the commonly accepted practice today. There are pros and cons on it, but it's called single stream recycling. I posted an article in the published section that can explain that. I separate my recycling, and I take my recycling in Tilden Township to Kugel's, and right on the bins, they say we are a single stream recycling facility. So you can put it all in together. I'm old school. At home, I have my cans, plastic, glass in one, and I have my cardboard paper in another container. But that's the way the system works today. It is not that your trash hauler or your municipality is ignoring recycling rules. It's single stream recycling. That's all that I have. Colleagues, comment?
Mr. Rivera, I'll let you go. I'll bat third.
Okay, sure. Yeah, just a few comments here. Commissioner Leinbach covered a lot of it, but just wanted to clarify, and I think by some of the comments, many people have not read the letter that Commissioner Leinbach and I signed on to. I got a call yesterday from someone who was accusing me of things and had not even read the letter, and they were totally off base. So if you truly are interested in knowing what the letter says, send me an email and I'll be happy to forward the letter to you. That way you can read it. And if you have any questions or concerns after that, you can follow up with me and our Commissioner Leinbach as well. But please don't go by what other people are saying, by what's being posted on social media. Read the letter for yourself. The letter states facts. And as Commissioner Leinbach and Commissioner Barnhart had said before, election reform is part of the CCAP 2020-2021 priorities. CCAP is nonpartisan, and both Democrats and Republicans were involved in putting together the priorities for CCAP for the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania 2021 priorities. So this is not partisan, it's not Republicans against Democrats. This is about election integrity and election security and election reform. So if you want a copy of the letter, please reach out to me. And also you can go to the CCAP website under 2021 priorities, and you'll see the information that CCAP has on their website there. So that's what I had to add.
Thank you to my colleagues. I'll respond in no particular order to some of the comments this morning or questions this morning. In regards to the balancing of funding for the district attorney's office and the public defender, there have been abuses in the country on underfunding public defenders' offices. But I will just add to that comment, recognizing that the district attorney's office is the prosecutorial end of criminal justice. When it comes to the public defender, that they are dealing strictly with people who do not have the means to hire a private practice attorney. So the equation can't be 100%, 100%, or 50-50. Quite honestly, there are probably people that are in the criminal justice system, probably 75 or 80% of those people, in fact, hire a private practice attorney. So you can't balance them even, Stephen, and think that you've done a credible job in doing that. With respect to the question about trash, and a county Department of Health, I guess, under disease investigation, vector-borne diseases, or infection control, that would probably fall. But putting barrels back to the curb, or people wearing masks, or people wanting to beat you up, I don't think a county health department would actually go into the borough of Wyomissing. Again, we're in a Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where municipalities have an awful lot of statutory obligations and authority. I think your issue, sir, is really with the municipality of Wyomissing, not deflecting responsibility. But I don't think if we in fact had a Department of Health here in Berks County, I could be corrected, but I don't think we would be then policing municipal trash haulers. And lastly, in regards to a Department of Health, I had an extensive interview with Karen Shuey regarding the pros and cons of a Department of Health. I believe that article is going to be in the Sunday Eagle. Please look forward to that. I believe she's interviewing my colleagues as well. I am not a person who commits to a resolution or a referendum, but I do commit to investigating and researching the value of a county health department. I think that will come out loud and clear in Sunday's Reading Eagle. I do not, hey, I'm going to sign this document and then I'm forced into doing something, whether it's right or wrong. I'm going to make my decision going forward, whether it's in the best interest of all residents of Berks County and the value it would bring to this community. So look forward to that article and further dialogue moving forward as we start to ease out ever so slowly of this pandemic. Thank you.
I'm going to add, I will also be interviewing with Karen Shuey and discussing a potential of a Department of Health here in Berks County. Commissioner Barnhart, I'm glad you brought up the issue of the Public Defender's Office very early in our first term. I think you remember I raised the issue of parity on the salary comparison of public defenders versus ADAs in the district attorney's office. And ultimately, we as commissioners back in 2008, 2009, somewhere there, agreed and matched those salaries up because we did not believe it was right to pay a prosecutor attorney who is prosecuting more than we paid a defense attorney. Also part of that was providing additional compensation for continuing education programming that is required by both the ADAs and the public defenders. And at that time, we didn't provide any of that. They were kind of on their own. And we said, look, these are people that are serving in full-time roles with the county. They both need the same thing. And I've heard multiple times from Glenn Welsh in the Public Defender's Office, John Adams in the ADA. In fact, recently he reiterated the value of the training side, but Glenn has reiterated the value of those training credits as well as matching the base salary. So that we are concerned about making sure there's fair and equitable representation. Kevin.
Commissioner Lange, I was informed by our Chief Financial Officer, Bob, that the budget for the DA also includes the detectives and the forensic unit and everything else that goes with that. So again, you can't do apple to apple comparison looking at a budget number and say it should be, they should be identical. There's a lot of other services provided through the district attorney's office when it comes to that end of the spectrum. So
good point. Very good point.
Good conversation today.
That's large.
Yep.
Very good. Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned.